What's going on, friends? How are you doing? Welcome back to the Daily Dose. We are at it again every day. Every day. Got to stay in the Word. Every day. So today we are back in the Word and we are looking at day number 47. Day number 47. So the scripture for today is going to be Numbers 22 through 24. And we're also checking out Psalm 47. So we don't have any supplementary video material for you guys today. If you need a link to the Bible reading plan that we're going through, you can find that link down below. So go click on that, download that PDF so you can follow along with us every day. Please don't just rely on listening to my little summary. Get in there and read the word for yourselves. So what we're looking at today is an incident where this guy named Balak summons this dude who's kind of a mystic, kind of a fortune teller, mystic, sort of medicine man kind of guy. His name is Balaam. And what leads up to this is that the Moabites were scared of Israel. I guess they had heard that Israel had a few victories and that they were kind of coming their way. So the Moabites were basically just fearful. They thought that they were going to get their heinies handed to them. So Balak was the king of Moab at this point in time, right? So Balak is like, all right, how can I get my pagan gods to favor me? How can I get help from somebody, to help me defeat the Israelites? Maybe I can pray to my pagan gods. Maybe I can have a magician or a mystic, a seer, a fortune teller, whatever you want to call them. Maybe I can have one of them, cast a curse upon the Israelites, and that will help us to defeat them, or at least not be defeated by them. So this guy Balak sends messengers to the mystic seer person named Balaam, and they go over there. These messengers, they're making their way, they journey over, they find this guy Balaam, and they approach him, and they basically say, look, here's the deal. We want you to curse the Israelites, and we will pay you to do so. Whatever it takes, we'll pay you. We just need you to put a curse on the Israelites. Apparently, this guy Balaam was kind of a celebrity of sorts. Apparently, people knew that he had some sort of abilities to curse people and possibly bless people. We don't know a whole lot about him, but we do go into kind of a lengthy story starting right here that leads us through a journey, a day in the life, a few days in the life of this guy Balaam. So essentially, Balaam says he'll sleep on it. So when the king's messengers come and they tell Balaam what's going on and that, they want him to put a curse on the Israelites, Balaam is like, I don't know, I need to think about this. Let me sleep on it. So he sleeps on it. While he's asleep, God visits Balaam, the mystic. God visits him in a dream and basically says, hey, look, here's the deal. You are not to curse my people. That ain't going to happen. That's not how we roll, and I'm not going to permit it. It would not be wise for you to do that. And Balaam takes the point, right? Balaam wakes up the next day. He says no to these messengers that the king sent, and he says, go back on your way. I'm sorry, can't do it. Go back and tell the king that I ain't going to be the one. It's not going to be me putting curses on anybody. So Balak ends up, Balak, again, the king. I know these names get kind of confusing. Balaam, Balak, yada, yada, yada. Balak, the king, once his messengers come back to him and they tell him that the mystic said no, well, at this point, the king is like, all right, well, I'm going to send some more higher ranking officials to go talk to him. Maybe they can persuade him, and maybe he'll be intimidated and he'll give in if I send some of my higher ranking officers, to go try to talk to him. So these higher ranking officials go, and a similar thing happens, right? The mystic, the seer, this guy Balaam, he says, let me sleep on it, okay? Well, I don't really want to do this, but let me sleep on it and I'll get back to you guys in the morning. So they're like, all right, whatever, go do your thing. So Balak sleeps on it, and then God tells Balaam to actually go see Balak, the king. And now when I read this, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be interesting, right? Because at first God told him, don't curse the Israelites. You're not doing that. But now we see God coming to Balaam, and he's saying, okay, you know what? Go and see this guy Balak. Go and see the king. But only do what God says, right? So the mystic guy, he's going to go see the king, but he is only going to be able or be allowed to tell the king what God tells him to say. So basically, this mystic is going to be sort of a prophet for God for this situation. So Balaam goes to see the king Balak. And Balaam gives 7 separate messages to the king, right? Each message is a little bit different, and it's messages that ultimately come from God. I won't go through all of those. You'll have to read those to find out. But there is kind of a series of going back and forth between Balak trying to persuade and bribe Balaam, and Balaam saying certain things, like, not only am I not going to curse the Israelites, but I'm going to say blessings on them. All kinds of interesting stuff happens. There is a weird little story that has to do with Balaam's donkey that he's riding. The angel of the Lord, this mysterious figure called the angel of the Lord, makes an appearance. And there's some really kind of crazy but really cool stuff that happens in this scripture today. So don't miss it. But before we go, I just wanted to touch real quick on one specific verse, and that's in Numbers 22. So the verse that I want to look at real quick is just verse number 4. Verse number 4 says that the Moabites said to the elders of Midian, this horde, and when they say this horde, they're talking about the Israelites that they've noticed kind of encroaching, coming up onto their territory. It says this horde is going to lick up everything around us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field. That's a pretty powerful analogy, right? How hard does an ox have to work to lick up the grass of a field? Not very hard. The grass doesn't put up a fight. The grass doesn't stand a chance, right? The grass doesn't even make the ox have to chew. The ox can probably just take a bite of grass and swallow it whole, and he's good to go, right? So what this verse speaks to me, what it tells me is it makes me think of the previous promises where God said, as you guys go to take the promised land, I will go before you. I will instill fear in your enemies. I will prepare the way before you. And this is one example of a fulfillment of that prophecy, right? The Moabites, and now remember, the Israelites, I'm picturing them as kind of this massive ragtag roaming band of vagabonds and wanderers, right? They've been doing a lot of complaining. They have been slaves for quite some time before the Exodus. These people are not making, when I think of the Israelites here, I'm not thinking about this group of mighty, strong warriors, these people who are muscular and big and intimidating when you look at them, right? They may have been, but that's not the image that I get, right? I get that they're just this kind of bumbling sort of group of wishy-washy, sometimes believing, sometimes unbelieving people that don't necessarily want to get their hands dirty. Now, I could be totally wrong about that, right? I could be totally wrong, but I think that the Moabites and these people of Midian, I would have imagined they would have looked down at the Israelites and maybe said, yeah, there's a lot of them, but look at them. They're not warriors, right? They aren't going to be able to battle and defeat us. We're massive. We're advanced. We've got a fortified city, and we're giants. Look at us. Look how strong we are. That's what I kind of would have thought for them to say. So I just think it's interesting that this is sort of an example of where God has put fear in their hearts of the Israelites. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. But thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and we'll do it again tomorrow. So until we meet again, deuces.